Joining me now is Nevada Democratic Congressman Steve Horsford, whose district Republicans are targeting to flip this November. So, look, you know that Sahil's right. They're going to say this is only going to make inflation worse. We know that gas prices have been coming down. Democrats have that on their side. But in terms of this bill, once it gets signed, actually having impact, actually people feeling it in their pocketbooks, can it happen quickly enough to help folks like you?
Well, thank you for having me on, Chris. It's great to be able to talk about these issues. And this is all about putting people over politics. At the beginning of your show, you talked about a number of legislative achievements that the Democrats in the House and the Senate, along with the president, have advanced for the American people. And this week, with the Inflation Reduction Act, we're going to continue to do that by reducing costs for seniors, with their prescription drug costs, including a provision that I helped to advance to cap out-of-pocket cost at $2,000 per person, lowering energy cost, which is one of the major drivers of inflation, and helping to reduce healthcare costs, which is still one of the most important issues that people in my district talk to me about and are facing right now.
So for people who say to you, and I'm sure you'll get this on the campaign trail, my food costs are still way too high, my housing costs have gone way up, or my kid who just graduated college can't find an apartment that he or she can afford, what are you going to say to them? Tell me how you think this is going to play in your election campaign.
Well, in addition to this legislation, the Inflation Reduction Act, which does, again, reduce costs for constituents right here in Nevada and all across the country, we are working to actually tackle other issues, including the higher cost of housing. I've introduced the HOME Act, the housing oversight and mitigating exploitation, where we've seen these corporate out-of-state speculators buying up properties and driving up costs. And so in addition to the legislation that we're moving on, we're going to continue to put people over politics and continue to address their issues, not the issues of special interests and big corporations.
So let's talk taxes, because the one thing you don't want to do on the campaign trail is defend higher taxes. And while these are targeted to corporations and top earners, this bill does raise taxes in a period of economic downturn. Republicans are already trying to take advantage of that. What do you say to folks who say any tax increase right now, when the recession word is still out there, is a mistake?
The only people talking about raising taxes on families, on hardworking Americans, are Republicans who've advanced a written agenda to do just that, including to defund Social Security and to roll back benefits under Medicare. So, as you rightfully noted, this bill targets 150 corporations with income of $1 billion or more that are not paying their fair share. And it's about closing tax loopholes so that they can actually contribute to the needs of our country at a critical moment, so that we reduce costs on consumers and make those who are not contributing now pay their share by closing those tax loopholes.
You just heard Monica reporting that the White House is looking at two big issues in the November elections. One, we just talked about, which is the economy and inflation. The other is abortion. You support abortion rights. Your opponent says he will sponsor federal legislation to curb abortion access. So in the wake of the overturning of Roe, what do you see as the full stakes of your election?
Well, what I see is that women deserve to have the freedom to make their own health care decisions. And we should not allow an ideologically driven Supreme Court or conservatives in Congress, if they're able to win a majority, to impose a federal ban on a woman's freedom to make her own health care decisions. This is about choice, but it's also about contraception. It's also about what other rights are going to be eroded. And we're not going back. I've been talking to my constituents, and they don't want to go back to the days where women don't have the freedom to make their own decisions, where voting rights are being deteriorated, where we lose the benefits under the Affordable Care Act. We're not going back to those days. We're going forward. And the American people know that this is a consequential election and that there are clear choices. And so my record is very clear, and I'm willing to put my record up against my opponents when it comes to giving women the freedom to make their own health care decisions.
It looks like the president in Lexington, Kentucky has just walked over. I can't tell. Control room, can we listen? All right, let's listen in.
I'm sorry to say that you're in the polls, with due respect to the polls, you're very, your polls are terrible. So your message seems to be reaching out to people. Why aren't they hearing?
Well, it's a long way home. Fact is that we've been divided for so long, and it's only recently that we have any kind of movement, and I think you're going to see a lot change. I talked to him. He knew. He knows he's already invited. I invited him the first time I went down. No, I don't think so. I don't think he has to. He got a senator run.
What was your message to the families, the flood victims whose homes were damaged, when you were talking with them? What was your message to them?
The message was we're going to stay till they're fixed. Thanks.
So some brief comments from the president as he's leaving Lexington, Kentucky, where he met with families devastated by those floods. Let me ask you one more question, Congressman Horsford. Would you like to see Joe Biden come and campaign for you in your district?
Look, I welcome the president. The vice president will be here later this week. This is about the American people. And what I see there is a president who actually cares, has concern, and is committed to meeting the needs and the challenges of the American people, whether it's those who are facing floods in Kentucky, those who are facing wildfires out here in the West, families who've been affected by gun violence in Uvalde and in Buffalo. He is someone who is committed to making sure that American families are lifted up at this critical moment and this time. And so I'm going to stay focused on doing my work, representing my district and delivering for them, putting people over politics. But I welcome those who can help us get that message out and make sure that the American people know what's at stake in this upcoming election.
Congressman Stephen Horsford, thank you so much for being on the program. We appreciate it.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.